Good morning. It is Thursday, May 19th, 2016. I'm here to update on the SPICE crowdfunding campaign and to talk a little bit about our notions about who's entitled to a science education, zero-sum politics, and leaving boys in ditches. First update on our crowdfunding campaign. We are 44% of the way to our goal, and we have 14 days left to go in our campaign. And this is really a crucial time in a crowdfunding campaign. This is when campaigns can slow down, lose their momentum, and start sputtering out. So if you're planning to give and you haven't done it yet, please do that now. The more momentum we can keep with the campaign, the more successful that it will be. And remember that your contributions are tax deductible, and they help girls get to experience really exciting hands-on science, and they also help our instructors get a chance to experience what it's like to be a science teacher and experience that joy of sharing that science with girls who love it. So moving on for my discussion of girls in science today, and I was thinking back to something that happened a couple of months ago that's really emblematic of the issue of girls in science and the politics of girls in science. So back in March, the House was considering what were considered a series of non-controversial bills, funding bills, and there were some subcomponents in those that wanted to deal with gender disparity in STEM and target some funding to help recruit more women to STEM and mentor more women in STEM through the National Science Foundation and through NASA. And a couple of senators, I believe they were House Republicans. So the bill was believed to be a no-brainer, that it was going to pass, but at the last minute, a couple of members of Congress came out against it, and here are some comments from them on the floor. We want to take time from our $19 trillion debt to demand that the National Science Foundation discriminate based on gender. There may be some young boy who needs encouragement from a tough family situation, but this program is designed to discriminate against that young poverty-stricken boy and to encourage the girl. Forget the boy, encourage the girl. So this legislator suggested that forcing the government to prioritize recruiting women could result down the line in some sort of reverse discrimination against boys in the future. Then he went on to say, when we come in and we say, well, it's important for a while that we discriminate, we end up getting behind. And then probably 25 years from now, the boys are going to fall behind in numbers, and we're going to have to come in and say, actually, we passed that bill forcing the encouragement of girls and not encouraging little boys. And we didn't see that we were going to leave little boys in the ditch. And now we'll need to start doing programs to encourage little boys. So I have a lot of things to say about that, but I'm really going to stick with this notion of the zero-sum game and when people in a position of advantage push back against trying to give to other people. So we have this cultural assumption that if we give something to one person, we're taking it away from another. And this becomes very sticky when we start dealing with issues of equity and trying to give more to groups that have traditionally been underrepresented and have had less access to resources. So we're looking at a bill that provides some funding to help mentor women and girls in science and encourage more women and girls in science. And from the perspective of this legislator, that was taking something away from boys, from a program that would benefit boys or benefit everyone, I'm sure is what he intended. And we can dismiss this and say, like, oh, this guy doesn't get it, but this guy is a lot of people. I hear this all the time. This is just one example. And his feeling is that by giving something to girls, by targeting something to girls, we're taking it away from boys. This is a very common reaction. But it says something about values that are out there in our culture, and the value is that the potential that we might, in a misty future, possibly disadvantage boys by leaving them in ditches is more important than the reality of the girls that are in ditches right now. That the girls who are not getting to experience science, not having the experiences and mentorship and support that boys are already receiving in science, that is as important as the potential of a future boy not having those advantages. I think when you lay it out that way, it's pretty disturbing, but it also really points to how privilege works in our culture. People who are in a position of privilege often feel threatened when we suggest giving more resources to people who aren't in a position of privilege, because when we're in a position of privilege, we feel like we earned what we have. that we deserve what we have, and that if you take something and give it to someone else, that you're taking it away from me. And it's a very natural human response, and we all end up in positions of privilege at some point. We all like to feel that we've earned what we have, and being told that we haven't, that we got it through a fluke of how we were born or where we were born, it doesn't feel very good. And I would like to say that this is a wrong way of looking at it, that yes, of course, all of us have worked hard to get where we have. And it's not that we don't deserve what we have. In fact, I hate that word deserved, because if we all got what we deserved, well, we'd all have wonderful and terrible things happening to us, because sometimes we deserve great things and sometimes we deserve terrible things. But looking at it from the stance of a larger perspective of having an equitable culture that is a place where all people belong, all people are supported, that's something that's good for me, even when I'm the person in the position of privilege and I may feel like something is taking something away from me, but really it's giving back to me in the larger picture. It's why we do things like pay taxes to have schools, because even if you don't have kids, having an educated population is really good for all of us. It reduces crime, it improves our economy, it just makes it nicer to be around people who have a basic education. But for some reason, when we're dealing with issues where people have been traditionally underrepresented, we don't always see it that way. People don't always react from a perspective of what is good for you is good for all. And it's good to highlight these areas in which people sort of reflexively respond in a feeling like something's being taken away from them. And I will strongly assert that providing more resources, and it's really not a lot of money, to support girls in science and other underrepresented minorities in science is good for all of us, and it's not taking anything away from our boys. Thank you very much. Please check out the crowdfunding campaign. If you can give just a few dollars, it's a huge help to us. And have a great day. I will be back tomorrow, and the Minions are planning a special episode of our updates for a little bit later next week. Thanks a lot.